Hello and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Alright, this episode, we're taking a closer look at Kiev 41 from Vento Nuovo Games, designed by Emmanuel Santandrea. I hope I pronounced his name correctly, or got very close without butchering it too bad. Alright, now, last episode we talked about logistics, we talked about movement, okay? This episode we're going to talk about combat, alright? So it's time to roll up our sleeves and get down to it, alright? So I'm going to go over combat using the 4 examples I have here, 4 different situations, talk about the rules in general, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at a few other things. But like I said, I'm going to leave a lot of my comments for my review, which I hope to have out by this weekend at the latest, on the game and kind of on the system in general. But again, if you're curious about my thoughts already on the system, you can take a look at my written reviews of Moscow 41 and Leningrad 41 posted on Board Game Geek. Alright, first of all, I'd like to say that once you get things down pat with this game, with the rules, if you look here, see the combat sequence, I mean, it's very nicely done. You know, all the steps are there. You know, even the information about defender fire first and less tank attack. I'll talk about that, what that means. The crossing blocks, which remember I put on last video. And then, of course, there's also the firepower, what each one of the symbols means. Single, double, triple, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Okay? Okay, so, like Tone Loc said in the 80s, let's do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go south to north, just because I feel like it. Alright, so let's zoom in here on our first combat, just so you can see how all this works. Okay. Now, the showdown, of course, the first step is you tip the blocks over whenever you're playing a 2-player game. Well, here I don't have to do that, and of course we're concentrating on this space here where you see the Luftwaffe ready to roll. The blue Luftwaffe, by the way, just indicates that it's commanded by the Romanian Air Group, which is different from the other one. So you do have to be careful about that particular one, but otherwise it really doesn't matter. Okay, so showdown, don't have to worry about it. Okay, fleet fire. Now, there are the fleets, which I'll talk about here toward the end of the video, because I'm not really going to get into them in this example, but I will briefly talk about them because they are unique to this with the Black Sea. So we'll skip that step for right now. Okay, artillery fire. Now, if there is a headquarters within range, which basically means adjacent to the combat space, if you have a friendly headquarters there, then you can do artillery fire. Now, I don't have a friendly headquarters adjacent, but we will see that in the next combat example, so hold on for there. Okay. Now, defender anti-aircraft fire. Now, with the Soviets here, okay, let's move them back a little bit so we can see their blocks. With the Soviets here, okay, you can see that we've got one block with white and one with black. White signifies double fire. That means you hit on a 5 or a 6. Black dots or stars signify single fire. You only hit on a 6. Now, for every single block, you roll 1 die for anti-aircraft fire based on its firepower. So we're going to roll 1 die here, 1 for double, 1 for single, and see what we get. So we did the double and the single. Now, they both missed, and we have a lot of other air attacks, so we'll see if that happens, if there's a hit next time. Short version is this. If you hit once, it aborts one of the planes. 2 hits, you can choose either to abort both or destroy one. The difference, if it's destroyed, you don't get back until the next turn, so it wouldn't come back until September in this case, okay, in that situation. All right. Now, the Luftwaffe fire is actually based on the Luftwaffe block, space 99. Just trying to remember where my guy is here, because I'm going to move it into camera range here. So if you see here, there are 4, okay, blue stars there. All right. The blue stars signify that the block has no firepower of its own. Okay. Each one of the Henkel 111s will roll 4 dice, the firepower of the Luftwaffe headquarters, and Henkel's always hit on double fire, 5 or 6. So, let's see how we did here. Alright. The first Henkel squadron did a pretty good job. 50% success rate. Oh, the second one did a good job, 50% success rate. So we got 4 hits, okay? Now, some spaces have the abilities to absorb hits for the defender, where you basically can take some shots before you actually have to reduce your blocks that are in combat. In this particular case, that doesn't exist. This is only a green space, and there's no other absorption properties. Again, we have some other spaces here that have absorption properties. I'll go over that when we get to that. Okay, so 4 hits, then what you're going to do is reduce the strongest blocks down. So you can't, like, for example, reduce your weakest block, 4 hits and obliterate it and keep your other block nice and strong for the fight. No, that doesn't happen. Please try again. Okay, so 4 hits means each one of these is going to take 2. So 1, now they both have 3, so I can rotate either one. 2, obviously if I'm the Russians I would do the black one because that's single fire. 3, and then 4. So that was pretty successful by the Luftwaffe. So the boys in blue did a nice job. Alright, now, after that, the defender gets to fire. Okay? Now, the only time the defender would not fire next is if you have tank advantage. Tank advantage basically means you have tanks, your opponent does not. You're in a green space, which is basically open terrain, and there's no defensive lines, no cities, nothing like that. Okay? And again, once you see this in the rule book, and it's outlined nicely, the rules are very well written, very nice and clear in my opinion. You'll pick up on it quick. Okay, so let's do the defenders here. So we got the headquarters with double fire, and rolling 2 dice because they have 2 stars, up 4 and a 1, wah, wah. And then single fire, only 1 dot, so you only get 1 die, and that's a 4. But remember, this blue block here signifies that the Luftwaffe, or the Wehrmacht and their Romanian friends crossed the river. So each one of these blocks, even though they have either 3 or 4 dots on them, they're only going to get to roll 1 to simulate the difficulty of river crossings. Okay, they'll still get their firepower. So as you can see there, we have 1 11th Army block with triple fire and 2 Romanians with double. So let's do the triple fire first, which is 4 or better. Kaboom! It's 5. And let's do the 2 Romanians. Come on, Romanians. Come on, baby. If you hit on both of them, we wipe out all these blocks. Come on, baby needs a brand new pair of shoes. Oh, baby's going barefoot. It was a 4 and a 2. Okay? Alright. So that will reduce this block down to heart level. So it is exhausted now, which is good, because if the Russians choose to activate it on one of their impulses, it will destroy it, and it will go into the reinforcement bin. So that actually was a nice, successful attack. Alright, let's move a little further north here now. Okay, and combat, as you can see, only goes 1 round. After both sides shoot at each other, if you're still in the space, you're still in the space. And again, you can trace supply into this space. Okay, so for example, you can trace German supply into here, but you can't trace them to supply space 69 because you can't trace through a contested space. Okay, so just keep that in mind for supply purposes, surrounding people, etc. Okay, now, next combat. Okay, so again, showdown, we've already done that. No fleet, artillery. Now, we do have artillery because we have this 11th Army headquarters here. And it is adjacent to this space, okay, the river here. And in this game, most of the spaces are marked by white lines, but the rivers are lines too. So you have to keep that in mind, okay? So we'll do the artillery fire first. Basically, artillery fire is the strength of the headquarters, which in most of these games is only double fire. I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head is actually this game. Timoshenko actually is triple fire for his artillery. Okay, then we'll apply our hits. So, and again, we're rolling 4 dice because there's 4 stars. And success, 2 hits. Okay, and notice these hits are applied immediately before the enemy has a chance to fire back. Now, before we do the hits here, I just want to double check and make sure, yeah, there's no cities there. There's no absorption bonus, okay? So these 2 hits are going to hit both of these, and again, they're both at 3 steps, so we're going to reduce them both by 1. Down and down, okay? Now we'll do anti-aircraft fire. Each one of the blocks will have a chance to shoot. So we've got 1 at double fire. Ooh, that was a close one. That was a 4. And 1 at single fire. Ah, curses! Okay, they rolled a 6. So now, one of these planes is aborted. Now, it will be available, the next impulse I activate a Luftwaffe headquarters, but Okay, let me keep this family friendly. I'm out of luck for right now, okay? To paraphrase the Soft Rock King's Air Supply, I'm all out of luck. If you're old enough to know, you can chuckle. Okay, so Luftwaffe will now strike. Again, the Luftwaffe headquarters strength is 4, so we'll roll 4 dice, trying to get a 5 or 6. And the Luftwaffe, once again, these guys are doing pretty good. They got 2 hits on the enemy. Okay? So both of these get reduced now to 1 step. And again, if you look at the yellow block there, hopefully you can see the R that's there. Remember, that means when you bring those Soviet forces into play as reinforcements, they always start on their reduced step. Well, not reduced, I'm sorry. They always start on the remnants step. That's what the R is for. Sorry about that. It's remnants. Okay. All right, now, of course, these guys will get to shoot back. Now, they're both firing at single fire because notice the blue tank unit now has a black dot, and that can happen in this game. Especially with the German panzers. They oftentimes rotate from being triple fire red dots down to white dots, rarely black. I can't think of any panzers. Like motorized infantry, yeah. Like the 29th motorized and stuff, but I've never seen a panzer division rotate down to single black dot. So, okay. So let's see if these guys get any hits. Nope, no luck. 4 and a 3. So, the luck is holding. The luck of, well, not the Irish, I guess, the Germans. Okay, but again, notice we have a blue block here. Okay, so again, these guys cross the river, so each of them only gets to roll 1 die. But we do have 2 units at triple fire. We have the Airborne Corps, and then we have a unit from 11th Army. A triple fire. Ho! I rolled boxcars. 2 6s. So that's 2 hits. I don't even need to roll for the next one. These 2 are destroyed. Now, because they were not isolated when they were destroyed, they didn't have a white cube on them, they go into the Soviet reinforcements. Now, German units that are destroyed, they're gone forever. So you have to be careful with your Germans, so to speak. And your Romanians and your Hungarians, Italians, and Slovaks are all in this game. Yeah, there's a Slovak block too. I just didn't draw it in the reinforcements last video. Okay, let's move up to this one now. So now we have Kleist's Pensa here. Okay. Now we have our showdown already done. Okay, that's pretty overwhelming there. And Kleist, of course, as you can see, I concentrated those 3 Panzer Corps, the 48th, the 3rd, and the 14th. So this is probably going to get ugly really fast. All right, let's see. Kleist is adjacent, as you can see there. He's just above them. So we'll roll 4 dice for artillery fire. Holy smoke. Okay. Clearly, look at that. Somebody needs some brush up on their artillery skills. What is that? That is one of the frustrating things about this game. Okay, is that, yeah, you can really end up with some bad die rolls, and it can make a difference. But, you know, I mean, some people don't like it. I don't care because it's friction, you know. And nice thing about this game is all the games in this series, even Stalingrad Inferno and the Volga, which of course is a different set of rules, they're easy to set up again. So like if you first turn, couple turns, you get a bunch of awful rolls and you're like, oh, I don't feel like, you know, like you're playing a game of chess where you're down, you know, a rook and a knight and you're like, man, this ain't worth playing. Well then, you know, this is real easy to reset. Doesn't take long at all. Okay. So, not so good there. Now, let's say that this yellow unit was infantry instead of armor. Then these tank units would be able to attack because this green space has no cities in it, and they would get first shot, okay? Which basically means that you get to do damage before the enemy does to you. But this time, might be in trouble here. Notice this yellow block has 3 dots at double fire. So you need a 5 or 6. Ah, finally, we get the hit for Mavarasha, okay? So now I have to damage one of my big Panzer Corps. I have no choice. Remember, I can't do this Mountain Corps here because they only have 2 dots. The Panzer Corps all have 4. So when I'm looking at these, I can see that 2 of them I can rotate down. They'll still have triple fire. 1 has double. So clearly I'll do the triple. I'll rotate these guys so I can try to clear this space out. Alright, let's see if we can clear it. So I've got one at triple fire. That's 2 hits, 5 and a 6. I also rolled a couple of 3s. I have another one at triple fire. That's 2 6s. That's 4 hits. And of course the enemy only has 3. Okay? So that's it. They're destroyed. I'm sure you've noticed by now there's no retreat in this game. Okay? So basically you're either going to smash up the enemy, okay, or now you can voluntarily retreat, like the battle we had further down the river a little bit ago. Next impulse, if the Russians are like, man, I don't want to get that headquarters destroyed, then yes, you can activate, well, you'd have to destroy it anyway because it's on heart level, but let's say it wasn't, then you could withdraw. Remember, it cost you 1 extra movement point to do that, though. Okay? So far so good. Okay, we did take 1 loss finally. And let's go up here to our last battle, which of course is the 6th Army, which has all kinds of baggage to just saying the German 6th Army. Oh, I'm sorry, we actually have one more combat. We got to do Guderian on the road to Tula. So, alright, so here we go again. And again, oh, let me move these guys here. Because remember, we put all these bombers on here because I wanted to give them support. Because what I'm hoping to do is destroy that headquarters, and then hoping the Soviets do not pull it next time. That's what I'm hoping for here. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Okay, so again, we've already done our showdown. There's no fleets, obviously. Artillery fire. Now, we do have 6th Army headquarters right next door. So we'll get to roll 4 dice and see if we can get some hits. Oh, and we did. We got 2 6s. Okay. Now, notice here, if you look here in the middle of the picture, let's see, can you see it? From there over top of, here, let me just move this a tiny bit, move the Luftwaffe over. Hopefully then you can see it now, what's there. But if you look carefully, you can see in the middle, above the green circle, there's that white block. There we go. That's a city. Now, cities have an absorb bonus. And again, it's all here on the chart. It's on the player aid card. Every single space you get absorb bonus, stacking, and movement points, okay? So the city counts as 1 absorbing point. So that means one of my 2 6s basically is not going to damage a unit because it is absorbed by the city, by the defender's favorable terrain. The maximum absorption you can have is 3, okay? So you can never have more than 3. Yellow spaces absorb, red spaces do, victory points have absorption things, and also defensive lines do too, okay? So I only going to get 1 hit here with the artillery because the city absorbed it. And now I have to rotate. And of course, if I'm playing, oh wait, this guy's got 4. I have to rotate him. Never mind. I was going to rotate the other one, but yeah, he's at 4. Okay, now the 3 of them will get to shoot at the German bombers, because here come the German bombers. So we got 2 at double fire, up 3 and a 1, and 1 at single. And it's a 5, so they missed. Ah, well, this could get really ugly. Let's see. So now I've got 4 bombers coming in at 4 shots apiece, needing a 5 or 6. So let's see what we got. Okay, ooh, first one we got 1 hit. Bomber squadron number 1. Bomber squadron number 2. They got 2 hits. Pilot to bombardier, pilot to bombardier. If you're old enough to know Bugs Bunny cartoons, you know what I'm referring to. 3rd squadron. Nice. 2 more hits. And the last squadron. 2 more hits. Woo! And again, you know, it's interesting if you read, especially a book I highly recommend. I just finished, The First Day on the Eastern Front by Craig Luther, who also wrote that mammoth Barbarossa Unleashed book, which is also great if you like the Eastern Front. I cannot recommend those 2 books highly enough. There's a little overlap on Army Group Center between the 2 books, but still worth it. The Luftwaffe, the close air support, was just brutal against the Soviets at the beginning of the war. So, 2, 4, 6, 7, count them, 7 hits. And I haven't even fired my infantry yet. There's only 1 word for that. Sweet! Okay, so 7. Let's see what's going to happen here. Here we go. Everybody hold on to your butts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yikes. Now, notice the headquarters is at heart level. Heart level has no firepower. So basically headquarters has been smacked around and they're basically trying to hightail it and get the heck out of Dodge. Or as they say on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. That's what they're trying to do. But, yeah. Okay, so we will have the tank unit with single fire. Oh, they got a 6. Alright, zing. So, because of course in Russia, we always try to take one of you with us. It's part of policy. Alright, now notice the 2 German blocks here. They're red and white, but they both have 4 steps, so I get to choose. So, which one should I choose? Gee, I just don't know what would make the most sense. Okay, so clearly I'll rotate this one. So let's see if I'm going to be able to destroy this headquarters or not. I don't know. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was just thinking I have a 3-year-old, and if you have young children or have had young children, you probably know chicka chicka boom boom. Will there be enough room? And my little one likes to go, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, sorry. If you're young and you don't have kids yet, excellent book when you have children. Alright, so here we go. I got 1 6th Army Corps triple fire. I really want to destroy this headquarters. Deutschland über alles. 2 hits. Sweet! And there's only 2 hits left in those units. So again, by going after this headquarters, I've effectively just about crippled the Soviets. Now, the Soviets are fortunate because they drew Budeny. And Budeny can command any headquarters that he pleases. So, a little bit of luck there. For the USSR. Alright. Whoops. I'm dropping dice. Okay. Now, last combat here, and then I'll have a few more things to say about combat and some of the other parts of the impulses and stuff. But let's go up here to the road to Tula. So there's Herning Heinz. Okay. Now, Heinz, let me tip this block up. He will roll a number of dice equal to the stars he has. You can see he has 3 there. Okay. So he's white, so to speak. 5 and 6. So let's see if we can get anywhere on the road to Tula. So roll 3 dice, and 5s and 6s. Well, that's one of the bad things about using a dice tray and rolling multiple dice. Sometimes one die will land and you're like, yes, it's a 5, and then another one comes down, boom, and bumps them. It's like, oh, no, it's a 2 now, man. Alright, so I only got 1 hit. That's a bummer, man. But let's say, for argument's sake, that I did get 2. Then that would eliminate the supply there. As you can see, there's the X. And let me zoom in a little bit more here so you can see. There you can see over here underneath the first block on the track, under, what is that, Mogilev? See the yellow supply symbol there? So now all those supply spaces are cut off for supply for that edge of the map board. So in other words, if you look, the next space over has an orange one. That means if I can get behind Kiev and cut off Kiev and some of these other units, then I basically can isolate them. Okay? And when you're isolated, well, let's put it this way. When you are isolated in this game, let me just read it to you. That'd probably be the easiest thing to do. Or actually, you know what? I'll show you the page. La la la. Hold on, I gotta find the page. La la la. Here we go. So here you go. Well, check this out. If you are isolated, you can't do any one of the following. Build defensive lines. Move. Attack. Be activated. Receive replacements. Be restored. Isolated. Defensive lines may not be disbanded. I'll let you look that up in the rulebook. Defensive lines are good for absorbing losses and kind of causing problems and stuff. But, you know, they can become valuable at times. But they're not you don't use them as much. You don't see them as much as, of course, you do with the blocks and stuff. That's why I really didn't highlight one. Okay. All right. So being isolated is a big deal. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. Now, once you're done with all of this, there is the blitz segment, only in good weather. Fast blocks, which remember are the guys with the dark ones here. So let's zoom in on Kleist's 1st Panzer Army, who were very successful. If you clear the space, which they did, Okay, then you can blitz into an uncontested green space. But if you look at the situation here, all I've got is a bunch of yellow, and then I've got this fully stacked green one down here. So maybe I shouldn't have sent those guys across the river. Maybe I should have waited with the Romanians and hoped that I was going to get that breakthrough, and then I could have blitzed into the next space down and attacked whatever Soviet units were there and continued to attack. Okay, so that's the blitz one. Now, once you're all done, you deactivate your headquarters, okay? And deactivating the headquarters is just like deactivating the leaders. There's no difference. So you spin them, and then you tip them back up. Now, of course, if you're playing a game against an opponent, you would tip them back up facing you, so only you know what's going on with all that, okay? And now it'll be the Soviets' turn, okay? A couple more things here about the sequence of play and gameplay and stuff like that. First of all, the fleets down here at the bottom. There's two fleets down here. One's a battleship and one's a couple of cruisers, as I recall. So the Soviets can activate these and send them to any Black Sea coastal space. Notice Black Sea, not Sea of Azov, so be careful with that in the rules. And they can basically, they give fire support and can hit both German bombers and German ground units. The only way to hit the Soviet fleets is with German bombers. Okay, and once they fight, they go back to here. But they can be activated by any headquarters. Okay, so even that green headquarters way up in Kharkov, you can activate them, the fleets, whenever you do that. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is with the Black Sea, so long as this dark blue disc is still A-OK over here, then you have units on the coast, like those guys in Odessa. They'll sit there and wave at me and throw stones at my men until I come down and kick their dupe off. Okay. Speaking of which, one other thing I do really like here about the map is if you can see this, see the disc. Okay, if both of these spaces, and notice here goes the line, runs to Sevastopol, and this is always a fun one, Novorossiysk, I think, Rossiysk. It's one of the tricky things about Eastern European languages I should know, with a last name like Korchnoi, is trying to figure out when you pronounce consonants and when you don't. Yeah. So. But notice, there's a line here, there's symbols on each one, and basically you know that if both of these are controlled by the enemy, you flip it over. So I like that too, that's very cool. Same thing up here with the Sea of Azov. So I have to give top-notch marks to Vento Nuovo because they really do make a nice product. Okay? I know this may not be some die-hard wargamer's cup of tea, but I like them, okay? Kind of in a nutshell. Spoiler alert for the review coming later this week. I like them. So, yeah. So, oh, one thing I did forget. I'm sorry. I'm so used to kind of playing this by myself that I really, playing solo, of course, sometimes you forget things. Not like forget as in oh shoot, I forgot a rule. But there are these cool artillery markers that you put down wherever you want to drop the artillery. But when you're playing by yourself, it's, you can use them, you can't use them. I probably should have just to show you guys here. Okay. Speaking of showing you guys, one more thing here. These Soviet forces. Now, when the Soviets activate here off camera, these guys with the white blocks, if a supply line is not punched through to them, notice, let's zoom in on the bottom one here, he's down to his last step, so he will be eliminated. Okay, and eliminated. So if you have a unit that is eliminated when a white block is on them for the Soviets, bye-bye. Thanks for playing. Okay? What part didn't you understand? The buh or the bye. Okay? And that will be completely eliminated from the game. So, if you have units as the Soviets that are destroyed that are in supply, they go into the reinforcement bin. Even headquarters. But, if you have ones marked with a white block that are destroyed by attrition, then thanks for playing. Okay? And again, notice I don't have to maintain a pocket here. Notice how many empty spaces there are around there. The only reason those orange Romanians are there is, remember, I didn't rebuild that, regenerate that headquarters. So, that's one of the things that some people don't like. I'll talk more about that when I do the review, but just be aware of that fact there. The last thing I want to mention is there is a pass impulse. A pass impulse, basically, you get to move one block, any block you want on the map, anyone you like. And you can move it so long as it doesn't move into combat or anything like that. And you can even move headquarters without changing their status. So that's really big. So keep that in mind toward the end of the turn. If you're like, shoot, this headquarters, I want it up here to activate all these guys next turn because we're going to slam the enemy. You can use it. Now, if both players use a pass impulse, then that turn is over. You move on to the next month, and then you start from there. There is weather that affects this game, but it doesn't start until October, so keep that in mind. And the last point I want to make here real quick is this, because this is a biggie too. And we'll zoom in here on the Romanians that crossed here against the Southern Front headquarters here. So, next turn, okay, if I activate any German headquarter, even if it's not the Romanian 4th Army or the German 11th Army, these guys can fight. So any ongoing combats, you may choose to continue. So even if I go way to the top and activate 17th Army, which is green, I can still resolve this combat. Okay? So keep that in mind. That's very important. I don't have to. If you're like, nah, you know what? I'd rather just keep these guys, try to keep these guys pinned down. Let's see if we can flank them and envelop them. That's cool too. You can do that as well if you don't want to risk the damage, or you're like, dude, it's toward the end of the turn. I'm going to wait till I get some replacements so we're back up to full strength. But you may do that. When you enter a new space that has enemy units, which of course all these examples were, you do have to fight. You have no choice. After that, it's up to you. But again, you can activate any headquarters and still fight any space that is an ongoing battle on the board. Oh, one last thing too, very important rule is when you're the Germans, you can't just activate a Luftwaffe headquarters. You must activate another headquarters first. Okay, so you could activate, for example, you know, Kleist's 1st Panzer Army, and then activate both Luftwaffe headquarters. That's cool. You can do that. Okay, but you cannot activate a Luftwaffe headquarters by itself. So don't think that you can just send the Luftwaffe and be like, yeah, baby, let's flatten them, you know, let's just blast everything in sight. No, you can't do that. You can't, okay? So, there you have it, okay? There's most of the things you'll see in a turn. Again, I should have done the Blitz thing. I wasn't thinking about the Romanians and the 11th Army. I should have let them blitz their way down the right side of the bug, but, yeah. But you guys can see, you know, what I'm talking about and see from examples and stuff. And again, the rule book is nice and clear in my opinion. Emmanuel is very good on the boards on Board Game Geek. I've posted questions before, and if he doesn't answer right away, which he typically does within a day or two, other people that enjoy these games will chime in right away. I myself have, you know, when people have had questions and stuff. So anyway, hopefully someday I'm going to lay out all 3 games: Kiev, Leningrad, Moscow. And I have the tables for it, by the way, folks. And I might try and play, you know, sequentially, you know, an impulse on each map and then switch an impulse on each map. The only thing is you can't transfer units back and forth. They do have a game, Blocks in the East, but it's hex-based instead of area-based. Ugh, that's frustrating. At least I think it's hex-based. I'm pretty sure Blocks in the East is hex-based. I have to double check on that, but I'm almost 100% sure that Blocks in the East is not hex-based. Okay. So anyway, bottom line, brass tacks here. This is how you play Kiev 41. And again, within the next few days, I hope to post a review talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Kiev 41, the latest release from Vento Nuovo Games. Okay. Alright, so next video, next time, of course, next time, same bat time, same bat channel, I will do the review on Kiev, and then I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I gotta be honest though, I'm leaning towards a couple of ideas here. So if I'll tell you what, I'll tell you them. So if you have, if you know, you can vote what you'd like to see next. I have a couple ideas running through my head. One is I just got my copy of Storms of Steel, The Conflict of Heroes, Kursk. I'm almost done with the first part of the rules. I think this is finally a tactical system for me. So, and of course I do have the solo expansion because you guys know I'm basically a solo player. when it comes to war games anyway, for the most part. So I'm thinking about maybe doing that. I mean, I know there's a lot of videos, and Academy Games is another one that the rule book is, it's outstanding. It might be the best rule book I've ever seen. And I own 650 games. So, trying to give some credentials there. So I'm thinking about maybe Storms of Steel. I'm also thinking about showing off my, not showing off, but demonstrating, sorry, that came out badly. Showing off, by God, I have an idea here to show you all. Sorry, I didn't mean to come off snobby like that, so to speak. But demonstrating my Triumph and Tragedy solo method that I use for the first couple of turns to make each game a little interesting and unique. I have mentioned that before. And also, you know, maybe a Victory Denied, which I picked up earlier this year in a trade, and I'm so glad I did. I have to get a Victory Awaits. I have to pre-order that from Multiman Publishing, which is about Barbarossa period. So that definitely looks like a must buy right now. So anyway, those are the three thoughts that are running through my head as far as my next video goes after the review. So, like I said, if you have any preference, in the comments section, go ahead and cast your vote. If you don't have any preference, then just wait in suspense, I guess. And, you know, I'll see where the wind blows me, so to speak. So, this has been Tim Korchnoi from Bare Bones Wargaming, saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time from, I don't know, maybe from in the scrub and walls and stuff, and tanks out on the plains of Russia, or maybe still out on the plains of Russia heading for Smolensk, or of course maybe in the halls of power, because I mean Triumph and Tragedy is a grand strategy game. I mean, you know, it is grand strategy because you have economic factors, diplomatic factors, military. Yeah, it's definitely grand strategy. Or maybe I'll see you from the halls of power with Triumph and Tragedy. We'll see. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.